Welcome to our presentation of Huang Jin Xiang, founder of Food Outlet. We are going to discuss Xiang's problem selection process that led to the creation of one of the most successful food retailers in Taiwan.
Have you ever wondered what happens to most of the food produced by various businesses? If you guess that majority of it is purchased and consumed, then you are correct. However, a sizable portion of food production still goes to waste.
Let's take Taiwan as an example. Although Taiwan is currently experiencing an economic slump, they still continue to spend about $300 million on food production and waste about 3 to 5% of all of it. You might not think that this is much, but try to think of it in terms of US dollars. When we say 3 to 5% of all food produced in Taiwan is wasted, that's the equivalent of $15 million ending up in landfills.
Huang Jin Xiang, a Taiwanese entrepreneur who has worked in the food industry, thought about this problem and tried to find a way to effectively eliminate this waste. He knew that developed countries tend to overproduce food, so he was interested in finding a way to redirect this overproduction elsewhere.
Xiang understood the relationship between producers, such as factories, farmers, etc., and stores or companies that buy food to resell to the general public. More specifically, Xiang was interested in the acceptance period established between producers and resellers, since stores only buy food for a certain period after it's made. Xiang realized that most food can still last up to a few months after this acceptance period, but that does not stop it from being thrown away.
In addition to this food waste problem, Chiang was concerned with the state of the Taiwanese economy. He has a philanthropic attitude toward his work in the food industry, in that he wants to make food more accessible to all people. However, this became increasingly difficult as Taiwan's economy began to stagnate, and it became tougher for people to buy food.
Xiang's close relationship to food production gave him insight into how the market worked. The food sector was centered on the idea of producing, selling, and reselling. Businesses produced food to be sold to retailers, who then sold food to consumers. Xiang thought it was unreasonable for grocery stores to buy products at such a low price and resell it at highly inflated prices.
For example, strawberry jam is sold by factories at a unit price of 1.49 to retail stores. These stores then sell these products at a unit price of 6.
Xiang, being an entrepreneur, knew how to run businesses and form contracts with food manufacturers. As a result of his vast experience with work in the food industry, he already had connections to several big-name companies, such as Coca-Cola, Doritos, and Izaki Gilco, makers of Pocky.
Therefore, Xiang was a perfect candidate to tackle the problems of food production in the context of Taiwan's stagnating economy. He had the motivation to solve the problem because he was concerned with Taiwan's economy and the amount of food wasted. He had the creativity needed as a result of working with several different types of business models in the food sector. And finally, he had the expertise of the food industry and its inner workings to help him tackle the problem.
If you're interested in how he came to resolve the problem, he developed a business model based on the model of the food sector, which involved reselling food that was previously bought from factories. What differed though was that Xiang greatly extended the acceptance period normally used by retailers in his own model. The result of his ingenuity resulted in a new type of retail store called Food Outlet that sold food and other commodities at greatly deflated prices.
His business model was inspired by his desire to utilize the 5% of the food cost and to hopefully maximize his profits from it as well. Since the 5% amounted to around $50 million, in addition to creating a successful business model, he was also able to make several types of food, namely non-perishable goods and packaged food available to a greater population sample in Taiwan.
His business model was able to maximize profit because he was able to purchase foods from factories at such a low unit price that it was basically free, since factories wouldn't be able to sell these products otherwise. He also knew where to build retail stores based on demographic information in order to maximize his sales. He was able to minimize risk in solving the problem because he had no other competitors. No one else was really trying to profit on food products that were past their acceptance periods. Also, the reduced factory prices of these products make the risk very low to begin with. Therefore, Xiang tackled the right problem in the context of his interests and experience, and he was the right person to solve it as well.